So far in Series 10, we've had 2 strong back-to-back episodes. So if any one of the writers could continue that trend, I'd say it's Sarah Dollard. After her debut last series with the fantastic story of Face the Raven, let's see if her second outing is just as strong. Yes, I know I didn't review last week's episode, but here were my general thoughts on Smile. It was a fun story with a weak ending, yet it did still introduce interesting concepts that may not have been explored as well as I would have liked, but that's mostly due to the unfortunate 45-minute time slot. So I won't count it against Frank Cottrell Boyce, who, let's just be happy, didn't introduce us to another shite forest. And yes, there might have been another awful child character in this, but hallelujah, rejoice, his mother died! So that shut him up at least. Yeah, that might seem a bit harsh, but come on, you were all thinking that too. Now we can move on to Thin Ice, which, by the way, is definitely the strongest episode of the series so far. And I have a lot to say about it. It's not marginally better than the pilot, but it still succeeds in areas of storytelling that story failed in. No, I don't believe it's better than Face the Raven, but that's not anything to be ashamed of either, because that episode was very important to the last series, whereas this one was a standalone adventure, which is perfectly fine. As with every story so far this series, the Doctor and Bill's relationship is by far the highlight. In fact, I often found myself just wanting to watch those two talk because it just is so goddamn entertaining to watch those two bounce off each other. Their chemistry together is the strongest we've had since the Doctor and Donna, which really makes these episodes a hell of a lot more enjoyable. As for the plot, it is nothing extraordinary, but it worked wonders as good fun, entertainment, which seems to be a running theme this series. Also, I think it's important to point out that even though I knew Sarah Dollard was writing this one, I still had worries going in. The main one being the time period, which yes might have been Regency England, but from the trailers it looked way too similar to all the Victorian episodes that we're bombarded with in New Who. But I'm happy to say that the set design and costume work and all the other intricate details put into this story really did make it stand out from other historicals in recent memory. My only other worry was the child characters, which, as you now know, I can be pretty critical on. Yet again though, Dollard put these fears to rest, and the child characters, though simple, were effective, and I actually enjoyed their presence on screen, so kudos to those actors as well. Speaking of the children, holy shit, one of them died. Like fucking instantly. Okay, I know I just said I liked the child characters, and this might sound like a contradiction, but
these people are literally, actually dead. Wow. It's amazing.
I am so happy one was brutally murdered. I mean, when was the last time this happened? In fact, I never even expected to see this in New Who, especially in the Moffat era. Oh. One thing that I have noticed this series, though, is that death is back, bitches, and with a bloody vengeance. Heather died, a whole colony of humans died and were reduced to fertilizer, and now a few people died in Thin Ice, but one of them was a freaking child! Yes! My jaw actually dropped, and the whole episode I was like, okay, the monster probably didn't eat him, because no way they would actually go through with that, right? But they did it, and it was frickin' beautiful. Can I just say the best part of that kid's death was the Doctor's reaction? This is the Doctor we were told we would see back when Peter Capaldi was announced, and finally this series they found a good balance with his character. In Series 8, he was a bit too, I would say, brutal, and in a way, I wasn't really into him in Series 8, but I kind of feel that's because of the writing that didn't really focus much on him and focused way more on Clara, whereas in Series 9, he got a lot more focus, but was way more bumbly and upbeat, and very different from his previous series. And in this series, they found a happy medium between the two, and it works so perfectly, and I love it. Bill's reaction was also perfect, and we actually got meaningful character drama between these two. And it seems like forever since we've even had this kind of drama. Whose fault is that? Most people had a problem with Peter Capaldi. He's not good as the Doctor, and then people in Series 9 were like, oh, Peter Capaldi's great. The writing is letting him down. It's Moffat's fault. No. Clara Oswald. God, I'm so glad she's gone. Yes, the writing has been a bit inconsistent at times, but it has been a lot in New Who. So the Capaldi era is no exception. In fact, I think it's improvement from the Matt Smith era. And I think people are finally starting to realize that the problem was never Capaldi, or even the writing for that matter, even though I know some people have a problem with that, and that's perfectly fine. I hate Hellbent too. It was the character of Clara Oswald that was the problem. Okay, sorry to get a bit off topic, come at me Clara lovers, but she is awful. And it's not because that she's a bland piece of cardboard, although she did get some kind of development in Series 8, and she was likable in Series 9 until Hellbent, but she is the anti-companion, and some people might like that, but it completely breaks the formula of the show. Anyways, the sea creature wasn't too interesting, but was good enough to keep me invested. As for Lord Sutcliffe, the rich dude, who was the actual villain of this episode, well, he was very two-dimensional, actually, and yes, basically a stereotypical racist from the time period, but somehow I still frickin' loved him. He is such a slimy, racist bigot. Ugh. I love to hate this character, and the fact that I hate him means his presence was very effective, and his treatment of Bill increased my affection towards her as well. This episode presented racism in a very mature way that is applicable to the past and present, which makes it all the more essential to be explored in this story, and it's something New Who hasn't done for a very long time. Alright, some final thoughts I have on this story. Well, the pacing seemed a bit strange again this week, but that might be because I simply didn't want it to end, so I have to rewatch to be sure. The bit with Nardole at the end, by the way, really gets me excited. Not just about the story arc, but also Nardole as a character, who, like last week, didn't bother me at all, actually. I am loving this slightly ruder and more crude side of him, and it actually lessens my worries about him being featured in future episodes. I just hope that he remains consistent now and not just turn into a bumbling Jar Jar Binks to ride along the TARDIS with the Doctor and Bill. But I would love it if he turned out to be evil. We know the Cybermen are coming back. He is a cyborg. What if, and he's already getting fed up with the Doctor, and we know that he's loyal to him and all, but what if something happens that just pushes Nardole too far, and he ends up siding with the Cybermen, and he starts working against the Doctor? That would be very interesting, and I would actually like them to explore that. Anyways, overall, this was a great second outing for Sarah Dollard, and I hope she returns again in the next series. And as for this one, it's looking to be getting better and better each week. If any of you are interested, you can check out my other Doctor Who videos, including my animated series, which currently has a pilot episode up on the channel. And thanks for watching. I'll see you all next week for a review of Knock Knock.